What is going on, guys? Chris here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what I really don't like about the Canon Rp. I've had the camera for the past month or so I've got to test out the video and photo features, and these are the three things I just don't like about it and that are deal breakers for me as a content creator, so I'm probably not going to be keeping it. The first thing, and it's probably the most important thing for me, and that is the dynamic range. The first time I took the camera out, I didn't really notice how bad it was. It was okay, it was usable, but as I got to use it more in more harsh lighting conditions, the dynamic range in this camera is pretty bad. Not having any sort of log format really just makes every image super contrasty, and you cannot fix that in post. I did an entire vlog where I was talking about what it's like to live in Paris for me, and the sky looked completely white for the entire video, which was really frustrating because I originally purchased this camera as a B camera, so I wanted the footage to look similar at least to the Canon R6. I know this is 1080p, it's not 4K, so it's not going to look like the R6, but the dynamic range of this camera was so much worse than the R6 that it was night and day. They didn't look anything alike. Today I went out and I shot with the R5 alongside with the Rp just to see how different the dynamic range was, and it's really night and day. The R5 already has more dynamic range in my opinion than the R6. So yeah, the difference between shooting C-Log 3 on the Canon R5 and no C-Log at all in the Canon Rp, it's just night and day. So yeah, for video dynamic range, it's not great. In terms of photography, the dynamic range is fine. It's usable. When you shoot raw, obviously you can adjust the photo if you need to bring back some of the information in the highlights, but for video, it's just something you can't do. So for video, it's a really disappointing camera. But that said, the autofocus for video is great, and the color science for me is perfectly fine. Just the only thing is the dynamic range. Now, the next thing that I don't really like is the fact that it doesn't shoot in 4K for full frame. It does have 4K, but it has a 1.7 times crop, and that's just something that I would never use because I like the full frame look. And if I want to match this with my R5 or my R6, the field of view is just not going to be the same. And it's not so much the fact that the 1080p looks worse than 4K, it's just the fact that if I ever need to stabilize the footage or crop in a little bit, the quality goes down really quickly. Having 4K makes it really comfortable to edit the footage in case you need to make any minor adjustments, but for 1080p you have no wiggle room for mistakes, and it's something that I don't like. But don't get me wrong, the 1080p in this camera for me looks fine, but like I said, when you push it too much in the editing software, it breaks pretty quickly. Okay, so the last thing I don't like about this camera has to do with the nighttime photography. The first time I went on a photo shoot with this camera, it was at nighttime, it was near one of the train stations near my house, and the low light performance was good, but it was really noisy. This is something I wasn't used to with the Canon R6, and I didn't think that the 6 more megapixels on the Rp sensor compared to the R6 would cause it to be so much more noisy in low light. It was something I could kind of fix in post, but it was way worse than pictures I've taken with the Canon R6, and it's never something I had to worry about. I do like nighttime photography, and that's part of the reason why I'm keeping the R6 alongside the R5 and not just getting rid of that as well. It's because the R6 is one of the best Canon cameras, if not the best Canon camera in low light. For video and photo, it just looks amazing, even better than the R5. So I'm really happy about that. And the Rp wasn't even close, so it's just really frustrating that this camera is... Was that my phone? So yeah, this is something that is kind of frustrating. It's not something I'm used to, and these three factors that are really important to me. Final decision is I'm probably not going to keep this camera, but like I said in my review, I still like it. I still think it's capable and it's a good camera. If I were just making videos right here, the Canon Rp would be perfectly fine. I mean, the image quality is fine, but in here it's controlled lighting. I don't have to worry about dynamic range. I can keep it well framed, so I don't need to worry about stabilizing it or cropping in too much, so the 4K won't be a big issue. And obviously this is not nighttime photography. So it is a capable camera, and I still do recommend it if you're starting a YouTube channel, if you're just starting photography photography and you want a full frame sensor, because this is definitely one of the cheapest cameras out there that will get you into the full frame arena. And shooting full frame makes a huge difference compared to APS-C. So I do recommend this camera still. It's just, for me, is not one I'm gonna keep. It's a shame because the body is super lightweight and the autofocus is great and the colors just work well. It's a shame. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. It was a learning experience for me. I have the R5 now to test, so if you're interested in that, then subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.